everyone, and welcome to Worth the Calories. I'm Matthew Vose.
And I'm Catherine Vose.
This week on the Great British Bake Off 2018, it was Danish week.
Ooh la la. That was my man-on interpretation of Danish week.
Okay. So we're making French things in Danish week. I get
Exactly.
it. I like what you did there. I'm a fan of your work. Yeah, I like it. I like Danish week. I could appreciate them doing more of this, of picking a country or a region or something and doing, here's this sort of baking we're doing.
Yeah, because it was interesting. I learned stuff.
Absolutely. And like all things that, like, oh, that would be interesting to make. Oh, that's, I like that.
It also cemented my view that open Danish sandwiches are the most impractical of foods.
Well, yes. Yeah, open sandwiches are. That's when you have 2 slices of bread.
Yeah, that's not a sandwich.
Okay, challenge 1. The signature was rye bread and 2 open sandwiches. So
Yes.
2 different sandwiches with a good rye loaf.
Exactly.
I don't think it was necessarily harder than anything else we did on Bread Week
No?
that we saw there.
Yep.
But they... I think this is probably the meta conversation for the week. They had higher expectations for what they were producing.
They did. I also think, actually, thinking back to the chat that was going on around the explanation of the task, the idea that they were making them make a type of bread that would normally take 24 hours to produce, but they were having to do an accelerated version, and really almost have what they were producing being compared to the actual 24-hour version.
Yeah?
That's a little harsh.
Yeah? But some of them got it.
And that's why I'm like, okay, so it's clearly not impossible.
Yeah. You made a really good comment whilst watching it. The judging was exactly as Bryony said. The judging was brutal. They were hard. They were looking for really high quality.
Yes.
Anything that any of this lot had made, maybe not well, but anything this lot had made, if we'd made it, we would have gone, oh yeah, that's lovely. That's really good rye. That's a lovely loaf.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the thing is they were comparing what they made to what they were told to make, rather than what they made was that
Just
good
a nice
in
loaf
and
of
of
bread.
itself. Because, like, quite frankly, if I'd made Bryony's bread,
Yeah.
I'd be ecstatic. That looked amazing.
Yeah.
But it didn't look like rye bread to go on a smorgas, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I will admit, the size of slice that she cut, yeah, I'd have eaten that. Yeah. Bang on.
That fresh and fluffy.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it would be delicious.
It's like it looked really crispy on the outside. Yeah.
But
great.
I wouldn't be having it as an open sandwich with fillings that were about to fall down my front
Well,
when I
no,
bit into them. Which I guess is why you have the very thin slice of rye bread to actually make the whole thing practical to eat. But like Ruby did what it said on the tin.
Yeah, okay, so she was the most worried in the baking, I think. In actually doing it, she was the one who was like, it's really small, it's not come out well, I've had all sorts of problems, it's not going to be good. And hers was the one, great flavours, a celebration of rye.
Yeah, and it came out, the texture, the density that it needed to be for her to get that thin, dense slice that provided the bed bread for her open sandwich. So Riley was just like, not Riley, Ruby.
Riley and Booby.
Losing it. So Ruby basically was like, she did what she was asked for. You know, like, harking back to my teaching days, she read the requirement.
Absolutely.
She answered the exam question.
Yeah. I think Kim Joy's bake, of all of them, was the one I looked at and went, that looks lovely. She had the lovely sort of regular seeds over the top of it. It looked really nice.
Yeah.
Possibly not the sandwiches themselves.
I think they looked all right, but I like a bit more fish than you do.
Yeah, and I think there was just a bit too much going on. I think I had the same thing as Ruby of, I don't want my sandwich to look good.
Yeah. Yes.
So
yeah.
Maybe that's it.
I mean, Rubies were the ones that I would have been like, okay, I wouldn't scoff at this and think you're just setting me up to have food down my chest if she'd served me hers. You know, I'd have happily eaten Rubies.
Avocado, chorizo, and asparagus.
Nice.
And tandoori chicken.
Nice.
And actually, so again, looking at the notes, she was the one, they set up this whole thing of, oh, your liquid is too much or not enough liquid or there's some problem there. And then they didn't reference it later.
No, and she produced the best bread.
Yeah, which made me wonder why leave that in the editing. Is it because there wasn't actually any conflict really in that first round during the baking process? So hers was the only one they could include that in. I mean, there was plenty of conflict once they got to judging.
Yeah.
But everyone else felt and seemed really confident. Raoul was worried about his rise. Rightly so.
Justifiably, yes.
And I'm not sure, did they actually say what had happened other than it hadn't been proved well?
No, that's all they said.
So I don't know whether it needed to be hotter in the proved for longer. I don't know enough about bread.
Did he just get his mix wrong?
Maybe.
Don't know. So yeah, Rahul, dense and a bit of a mess.
Yeah, heavy and gluey. Not good comments, but also it's too big. I think they liked the texture of Bryony's, but other than that, it all fell apart and didn't work.
Yeah, dry mackerel.
Let's talk Kim Joy's.
Yeah,
I have a thing. It was beautiful, but I've also said bread minus. I felt they were disappointed in her bread, that it wasn't seedy enough. It didn't quite have the right texture.
You see, I interpreted their comments differently.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I interpreted their comments as, it was all right. It wasn't far off being just right. You needed a bit more, some more seeds in it, and I can't remember what else they said. But I heard it's an 80%, not 100%, right. Whereas you heard that it's like a 40%.
Yeah. Now, for full disclosure to our listeners, we watched this bit twice. Because we even at that point were saying we had taken away different things.
Yeah.
Did you change your thinking after watching it?
No, I still thought it was a pretty positive comment.
The way I read their comments is very much like, yeah, you could have done that better.
Amateur psychologist.
Yeah.
Do write in. What does that tell you about Matthew and I? Yeah, because I still hear that as, that was pretty good. You just need to do these things to tweak it to be perfect.
I think this is the point we should start talking about Manon's. Because I think there was a lot of talk to be had about Manon's outcome this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Her sandwiches looked good, but there was a problem that it was too sweet, where they wanted something more savoury, I think. I've got savoury minus as one of my notes. Colour was good, but not enough seeds. And effectively what she'd done was make a French loaf, not a rye loaf.
Yes, I heard it was pale, not enough seed. Yeah, the bread was good, but it wasn't the Danish bread that they asked for.
And was it Manon the other week who made, when they were making the pies, possibly last week on Vegan Week, and she'd made one with apples?
No, that was Bryony.
Was that Bryony?
I think that was Bryony. Okay.
Yeah. Because it reminded me of that situation again, where you should have gone savoury because it's a sandwich and you put something sweet in. Oh, we'll talk about this again later, but you have to think about the person eating the thing, not the person making the thing.
Yes, because she didn't make a Danish smorgasbord. I can't pronounce it. Smorgasbord. Sandwich. But she didn't make a Danish open sandwich. She made a French variant thereof.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But at least it was edible.
Yeah.
And I guess this is already, we've got the tension between her and Rahul in that he tried to make what he was asked to make. It was just a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
Whereas she produced something that was better, but wasn't actually what it was asked for.
Yeah, wasn't even on the thing, really. Okay. Our technical this week, 14 Aebleskiver. Aebleskiver. 1 week to make 14 spherical pancake donut things with a cinnamon, apple, and filling and strawberry jam dip.
Nice.
Had you ever heard of them before?
Nope.
Same here.
Nope.
I quite like the whole thing about it. I found it really interesting, and I again, like we've had in previous weeks, I want to get a copy of their instructions because it clearly said something about rotate 90 degrees or turn 90 degrees, which again you could look at it because you're looking at it from the top and be, wait, so I turn it clockwise? 90 degrees? But most of them figured it. Ruby clearly didn't, and there is a very specific technique in doing this.
I wonder, because Ruby struggled Ruby struggled with the Puy de Mort.
Okay.
In terms of reading the instructions and visualising what it wanted her to do. Do you remember she put those dots around the outside instead of piping the circle? I wonder if there's I just wonder if it's, you talk about people's learning styles.
Yeah, visualization.
I wonder if actually she struggles with that visualization. Because everyone else managed it. And I was baffled. Well, not managed it, but they seemed to do it.
Some had to take off what other people were doing.
But I wondered, why is she not looking around the room and seeing what everyone else is up to?
She was at the back again. I feel like she's been there a couple of times now, and it is hard because although you can see other people, they're in the way when they're doing it.
Yeah, maybe. Because I love that bit where Kim Joy is going, what's Bryony doing? Oh, she's taking her thing off. Right, I'm going to take my thing off.
Perfect. Yeah. And talking about the bakers themselves, it opened with Manon talking about how she felt Kim Joy was the one to beat. She was the dark horse to take it. I don't think so, and even after this week, I still think it's Bryony. Who is stronger and can deliver when needed, and has learned from having weeks of struggle.
Yes.
So
yes,
I found that interesting to have that comment made. It comes across like she's really competitive and is looking out who's her competition, who does she need to take out or defeat.
She'll have been asked that question.
Yeah, they were probably all asked that question, and she's the one who gave the best answer for it. Maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But no, I absolutely loved it. Her basically copying how long she was heating things for, and so on.
Yeah.
Because yes, if someone else seems stronger at it,
why wouldn't you?
Yeah. And frankly, Bryony won the challenge, so
right.
Yeah, she's clearly confident and has a reason to be. I like the recipe for it. I like the idea of it.
I'm looking forward to eating some.
I'm looking forward to doing it and eating some. I feel like it's a bit of a hard one because it's got such a specific technique. I can't think of anything else that's been quite like this that no one's ever seen before. Like deep frying churros and things.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if Sandy was specific, because I noticed Sandy being very specific in her instructions about them making them spherical. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if Sandy was told to do that to stop them all from producing things that were half spheres? I don't know what shape I'm trying to describe.
Hemispheres?
Hemispheres!
A demi-sphere. A bit of a sphere that's about 50% of a sphere. Yeah, because you'd end up with it really raw in the middle if you tried that.
Yeah.
I was quite interested to see it. So, looking at the recipe and thinking about what these are, I expected to almost be runny. It's kind of... They bake these in a similar way to the way I do Yorkshire puddings. You heat some oil and you pour the Yorkshire pudding batter in. Yeah. But this actually looked like a slightly more claggy mixture that you actually spoon in.
Yeah.
So that would be quite interesting.
Yeah.
I am also interested to understand why Manon ran out of mixture. Because she seemed to have less batter than the rest.
Did she not make enough mixture?
I wonder if she didn't put enough air in her eggs, maybe? Is that
Possibly.
a thing to learn from?
Possibly. Or maybe she filled the early ones up too much. Because it did say only fill them 3/4 of the way up, so perhaps she filled them all way up.
Yeah. Manon had seen them before. You know, her sister dated a Danish guy, so she'd seen it before.
Yeah, well, you know, having a family member date someone from that country means you can automatically do all its baking.
It didn't seem to help her particularly. But it did seem to be, again, that the mixture... Yeah, so I wonder if perhaps she didn't mix it right, because it was more about the mixture. Where Raoul's problem was he cooked them badly. They were very stodgy, and he'd overcooked the outside without cooking the inside properly.
Yeah, his pan was too hot.
The pan was too hot, which, again, a very important thing to learn, because that pan is clearly going to get very hot.
And it also doesn't look like a pan that you can really cool down quickly.
No, it's all cast iron. That's why. So we bought one. We have a silicone handle to put on it when you want to move it, but otherwise you, it does speak to the actual making. Whereas everyone seemed to be okay with the making. They just made a sort of buttermilk pancake mixture.
Yeah.
Okay. So our final one was Keaman or Kea Corner?
Danish birthday cake.
Danish birthday pastry. Sweets, chocolates, marshmallow.
Slightly morbid, cut your head off your person cake.
Which I quite like. I like this.
Did.
I can understand that it's a fun idea to make someone's, like a likeness of someone out of pastries. But then there is always this thing of, how do you cut the head when you have a cake shaped and things? So yeah, make it a bit of fun. Make it a thing that kids get to scream, because kids like to scream, frankly.
Yeah.
And
there's something about that kind of morbid, gruesome humour that actually really appeals to small children.
Yeah. Yeah, good fun, especially when you've made a cake looking like the birthday boy or girl. Or,
nice.
A yeasted dough, which was interesting, decorated with 3 confectionery skills. 4.5 hours. That's a long time to be baking and putting all these things together. Absolutely. Yeah. Who would you have made your Danish pastries look like?
Oh gosh, I haven't thought about that. Does it have to be someone you actually know, or could it be anyone?
I think that might have been the thing for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, I do not know. Oh, you! Yes, I could do one of you.
Would be lovely of you. Thank you.
I would make it have nice cargo pants and sandals and a t-shirt with some kind of funky logo on it. And I would do chocolate curls for the beardy beard.
Very nice.
There we go. Who would you do yours of?
I would probably do my lovely wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I would do nice spun sugar as a blondie hair.
Uh-huh. Spun sugar for my hair is very nice.
For hair, yes. I quite liked the extra added thing of making the confectionery.
Yes.
That's a really nice touch, and it does... It forces them to do some interesting skills without pushing it too hard. Because it's juggling lots of things.
It gives them something to do whilst they're chilling their pastry.
That is true.
Because that probably is what the majority of those 4 hours were about.
Yeah. God, with the rough puff that we did, this was proper puff pastry, yeah. But I felt like when it came to judging, the confectionery wasn't really taken into account.
No, they were really being judged on the bake of their Danish, weren't they?
Now, is that because the bake of the Danish left them able to judge on the Danish itself? Because there was such a variety of quality.
Yeah, I think you're quite right, because I think everyone did all right on their confectionery. I don't think they said nasty things or brutal things about any of the confectionaries. No. All the chocolates and the jellies, and they all got universally positive comments.
Yeah.
So all they were left to use as a comparator was how good the Danish was. And to be fair, it is a baking show. It's not a sweetie making show.
Well, no, but we have made Pavlova and we have done macaroons and...
We have, but the core element of this thing was the Danish pastry.
Okay.
So yes. I think it's quite just to judge it on that.
I wonder if there were more people who were closer on it, on doing the quality of the pastry, whether they would have gone, well, yes, you made marshmallow, but marshmallow's a bit easy. Or you made honeycomb, but it's a bit gritty. Or...
Yes.
We would have gotten into that detail,
yes.
But because you could look at the pastries and go, okay, Raoul, which is the big one, you've cooked it too hot, so it's burnt on the outside, all the butter's run out, you've cooked it too long, and it's now dry and crispy.
I think what I don't understand with... Because I can understand the butter running out. I think a few of them had the same sorts of problems. I understand that being a problem, and I can forgive him. Cooking it almost 10 minutes too long, they said.
Yeah, and I think they were pointedly saying, this is not just you've left it in the oven a bit too long.
It's been, I'm just like... Because I think it possibly because he pulled it, we saw him pull it out once, and he was worried about it being undercooked. I think he deliberately chose to try and make sure the middle was cooked rather than worry about the outside, and I think that was...
Puff pastry doesn't respond to that at all.
No,
so.
Clearly was not his thing.
I feel like this is where we want to get into the conversation about who left the tent this week.
Yes.
Because there has already been reaction. We've already hearing, people shocked at it, and we had a moment of that ourselves as well. Raoul came last in the technical, had a really bad rye bread, and a very, very poor signature Danish pastry bake.
Yeah, he had a rubbish week.
Manon, very similar in the technical, so that's fine. A good bake, but not a Danish bread. And her pastries were underproved and overcooked, I think they said, or undercooked on the outside. Yeah.
Undercooked in the middle, overcooked on the outside.
Right.
And basically the base of them had fried in the butter that had seeped out. I mean, that was a dreadful, dreadful bake.
Yeah. So the actual baking of her pastry as they said, was poor baking. The actual technical skill there of baking was poor, and it wasn't a Danish pastry she made. Like, a Danish pastry is puff pastry rolled with some filling in it, and then probably some sort of, usual fondant icing or something on the top. She didn't do that. She was calling them pain au chocolat, and then they called her out on it, and she was like, oh, and didn't react at that point. So, I think I can rationalise it. As much as I look at this week and go, yes, Raoul has had a terrible, terrible week, he at least delivered what they were asking for. And some of it wasn't, some of it was very, very poor, but she actually didn't do the brief.
Yeah, you don't get marks for answering a question that's not on the paper.
Yeah, that's a very simple way of putting it.
Basically.
And it's absolutely spot on.
Yeah. So I think, she was too French and not enough Danish. But it did seem harsh, because I think if we're ignoring what was being asked of them and looking at the quality of what they produced that week, I think Rahul was slightly worse. It's just that he made more effort to actually fulfill the brief.
Yeah, I think so. And I am also a little bit, maybe they've let him through because he's been so strong on previous weeks, and she's had a couple of shaky weeks. She's never excelled since that first week.
That is the thing. I mean, is it that they felt they were fairly level pegging this week, so they were looking at last week and the week before and things like that, and where Manon's been scraping the bottom for the last few weeks, it's just that there has been, the last 2 weeks, I think Manon would be out if it hadn't been that there was someone that was obviously dreadful. Oh no,
last week it would have been Ruby if it hadn't been John.
You think? I can't remember.
It's in the pile somewhere.
I suppose I don't know, but I mean, this is, I guess, my sort of inner biases, my memories of Manon over the last few weeks are she's just been one step ahead of the person who's gone out.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was most obvious in the one where Dan went out in Pastry Week, where she was pretty dire. It's just that Dan was dreadful.
And again, with it being Danish baking, we've come back to a fairly pastry style of baking, and it's done her in again.
Yeah,
sadly.
I guess it's not her bag.
And we have a little bit of a similar conversation over the Star Baker. So Ruby got Star Baker. I feel like it should have been Bryony.
Yeah, but are you judging that on the overall weekend, or are you judging that on her showstopper? Because I think if we're looking across the 3 bakes and looking for consistency, Ruby by far did the best first bake.
Oh yeah, easily.
And Bryony, as much as I loved her big fluffy doorstep loaf, that was actually pretty bad.
Maybe just ahead of Raoul.
Exactly. Yeah. So given, and like Ruby was consistently good across all 3. I think Bryony's Nana Pat showstopper was a better showstopper, but when you're balancing the marks out, I do think Ruby comes out slightly ahead.
Bryony won the technical. Ruby came 3rd. And Ruby came 3rd having done it wrong. I mean, that tells you just how bad Manon and Raoul did it.
Yeah. I'm starting to get the sense that the technical is not a significant factor in their overall judging, though, of Star Baker and things. I think it's there, but it's definitely not. Yeah, it doesn't weigh as heavy.
Yeah, maybe for the extremes.
Yeah,
it doesn't help to separate too much, particularly when there are not so many people. I mean, I remember this from previous seasons where the technical actually, there's been not much to differentiate them.
No,
if they can all manage. This week, clearly there was.
Yeah,
which is why it was quite a good technical challenge.
Yeah,
I am a little surprised Bryony didn't get it, I will admit.
Yeah, I'm on the side of Prue and Paul.
Okay, suck up.
I think Ruby's consistency won her. It wasn't an amazing week for her.
Yep.
But she was consistently solid across all 3 rounds.
She was the only one who didn't cry.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
They all wore Hawaiian shirts for John.
Very nice.
Lovely. Good on them.
Very nice.
Yep. Right, let's talk vegan Pavlova. So we made vegan Pavlova last week. We split it up between us.
Yep.
I did the meringue with aquafaba.
executed very well. I'm very impressed.
We'll talk about that in a second. What did you do?
Porridge. No, sorry, I made the coconut cream, and I chopped up the fruit
thing.
And I made the very nice mango coulis. It was mango, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was lovely.
Yeah, the mango coulis was a success. I can chop fruit up.
I can chop fruit up.
Oh, yes, you can.
Okay, so the meringue. Do you have any questions about the meringue? Let's rather me just waffling for a bit.
How did you find whisking up the chickpea juice compared to whisking up egg whites?
It wasn't hugely different. It took longer, but there was also a bit more of it, I think, than I would normally have used. Yeah, the actual whisking was fine. It was largely the same sort of thing. The taste at that stage was not good. Even at that stage, it's like, oh, this is a bit weird. This is a bit off.
And this is me just defending the chickpea.
I don't know. The chickpea.
I don't know that you would ever eat it raw if it was an egg white one. At that point, have you tried it? At that point,
yeah. Not like spoonfuls and spoonfuls, but yes, I've tried it, and it's more that this because I'm interested in what happens at each stage of it. Yeah, it had a weird aftertaste going on with it.
Fair enough.
Adding in the sugar was largely fine. Again, there was just so much of it. I think I need a bigger bowl and a bigger... whatever it's called.
Got to get a bigger boat.
Yeah, I need a bigger boat, absolutely. A larger electric handheld whisk thing. Because by the end, the sugar was making the top of it very thick. But if I tried to do lower down, it would all start rising up the whisks.
Right.
So I almost ended up with 2 layers of of meringue, one slightly thinner below. Putting it in the piping was fine. Piping it was okay. I mean, it largely came out like a normal meringue. Fine.
It looked great.
It took a bit longer to bake, I think.
Okay.
I feel like that was the big thing with it. And I had so much left over. I was able to do 3 layers to the Pavlova in the end. Definitely it was more delicate. Part of that, I felt a bit heavier. So I don't know whether I hadn't dissolved the sugar properly or something, but yeah.
But I remember on the show they said it was more delicate than a normal meringue, so that's to be expected.
And actually, when you return to the directions for it, what it actually tells you is for putting the white chocolate on the bottom, you turn it upside down, and then you take the baking sheet off the bottom of it. So you don't take it off the baking sheet and use its own weight against itself. You're peeling the baking sheet off. So you're not having to break it and pull it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And actually, it really made a difference doing it that way around. Yeah. How did you find making your coconut cream pat thing?
I don't know that it came out quite right.
Okay.
Because it didn't look like cream.
Porridge was not a bad description, I will admit.
It was a bit beige.
Yeah.
Well, not beige, but... oatmeal colours.
Yeah.
It was a bit too gloopy.
And it was a little bland.
I
didn't notice it when it was on there other than for the texture.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think perhaps that's a deliberate thing against the overwhelming sweetness of the meringue and the different flavours of the fruit and the quite strong flavour of the coulis. So perhaps it was just a glue. It looks a bit like glue. I wasn't a fan.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the making. I wasn't a fan of the making of it. I wasn't a fan of the eating of it. Yeah. It was a bit like making coconutty glue porridge.
Chopping up the fruits was fun.
Yeah. So ages ago, we went up to my parents, and my mum was like, "Hey, do you want this like weird 1970s kitchen gadget?" That is a pineapple Cora.
Basically, yeah.
Which we didn't actually use until this weekend, and now we just want to have pineapple.
We're definitely using it again, yeah.
It's super cool.
Basically screwing into the pineapple and then pulling out a plug that is a solid thing of pineapple that's basically like a curly fry.
Yeah.
But like a massive spiral pineapple ring. Awesome.
I hadn't realised it was going to do that. When I got it, I thought, oh, that's nice. It will get rid of the very, very middle bit. But I still thought you'd be left having to take off all the edges of the pineapple.
Right.
I mean, it's a little bit of a wasteful way of getting pineapple.
I don't think it's that much wasteful. I mean, that was a large pineapple.
Yeah.
So I think in other times, with a smaller pineapple, yes, you would still have to cut the edges off.
Guess what we have in the kitchen at the moment?
Oh, yeah.
We have a smaller pineapple for you to play with. But what it does, I mean, even if you consider it's wasteful, it does stop you from having to do that irritating thing where you have where you try and cut the skin off and then you have the little spiky bit still left that you have to pull out.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that was great fun.
It was good fun. Yeah, have a check on Instagram if you're listening. Instagram.com/eloquentgushing. We did put up both pictures and videos. It was good fun.
Yes.
Yeah. And the meringue coulis, you are dead right, was lovely.
Yeah.
It absolutely made it. I think it was the best flavour in the whole thing.
Yes. And so I'm seeing some mango coulis with some prosecco as a mango bellini. I'm seeing it with some rum and some form of mixer as a
Okay. No, could we do spiral pineapple rings over normal meringue and mango coulis? So kind of like a tropical Eton mess.
Yeah. I'm totally on board with that.
Interesting.
So yes. So I'd make the mango coulis again, also because it was dead easy.
Yeah, nice. So the big thing, we made it and we cut it and it tasted fine.
It's all right.
I think, okay, I'm not a huge fan of the meringues. I think it does detract not using the eggs. And then when we went back for it for another slice the next day, the meringue had basically dissolved where any fruit had touched it.
Yeah.
Like, this does not hold its structure even a little bit. Like, it was all foamy and soggy. It was a bit strange.
Not good for seconds.
Yeah, so I don't think we're going to be doing chickpea meringues ever again.
Well, there's no reason for us to.
No, I can completely understand it. And we didn't say this last week. Like, I do applaud Bake Off for doing a vegan week and showing what can be done. And there are people who can't eat eggs and people who don't want to eat eggs. So, fine, there is a good alternative if they want to try and do this thing that is not too dissimilar. You know, if I didn't have the option of having a normal meringue in inverted commas, this would be fine.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I can completely understand it, but you're right, we don't need to do that thing.
No.
Okay. So next week we're going to be making Aebleskiver.
Aebleskiver.
We're going to have a new guest on. We're going to be making Aebleskiver with our friend Lucy.
Yay!
So we will talk more about our history with Lucy and Lucy's baking, because she's pretty good at it. Putting basically everyone else to shame. I'm looking forward to going around and eating anything she makes for us.
Nice.
We've got our pan ready. We've got a lot of buttermilk ready, because it takes a lot of buttermilk to make these things. Is there anything you're particularly interested in doing? Anything you're worried about for it?
I'm worried about burning myself whilst I turn my Aebleskiver 90 degrees.
Right.
But we will cross that bridge when we come to it.
Okay. Yeah, I the technique is all about it, isn't it? Yeah. I think the making of everything else is fine. Cinnamon apple will be interesting, because I don't think I've done anything like that before.
Well, you're not an apple fan, are you?
But I'll do it. This looks fine.
Yeah. I like the look of the jam dipping sauce. Nom, 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 nom.
Perhaps I should just buy some like Nutella and just drop some Nutella in some of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to try the cooking one at a time initially.
Yes.
I think filling your pan up like Ruby did doesn't leave you much time to learn.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think certainly the first few. I think at some point you'll start increasing and going like, okay, now I'll do 3.
Yes.
Now I'll do 4. Now I've done 5. Oh, I've done my 14. Good.
Yes.
Okay, and then we're gonna have some sort of taste test with
Lucy's husband Scott.
Yeah, 42 Aebleskiver.
I wonder if Scott's up for eating 42 Aebleskiver at once.
Yeah, we might not have the chicken curry she's promised us. No, I'm looking forward to it. It's an interesting one, and it's the sort of one that I look at and go, do you know, you could do that, especially if you want to serve them warm. Like we've talked about doing some of these things for dinner parties and things. Actually, having the batter ready and being like, right, here's my first 7, here's the next 7, have at them. Something like that.
Nice.
Be good fun.
Yeah.
So next week is patisserie week. So lots of nice desserty type things, I think. I couldn't quite tell what all of the bakes were. The technical looked like a layer cake with tempered chocolate.
Not sure.
But I'm
Not
assuming
sure.
there's another element to that to make it more complex.
Yes.
Tempered chocolate is also hard to do under pressure. I've never done it. I've seen it done, obviously, on the show a lot. I'm looking forward to doing it.
Yeah. I think this is actually coming back into many of the bakers' wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see a more confident Rahul.
Yeah. Although, on the final, they often do a mix of some of the weeks as well, don't they? So that'll be interesting. Okay, so join us next week. We will discuss Patisserie Week. We'll bake some Aebleskiver and talk about them with friends.
Aebleskiver.
Don't forget to go and check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/eloquentgushing, Twitter, twitter.com/eloquentgushing, Facebook, facebook.com/eloquentgushing. Basically, look up the production company, Eloquent Gushing, anywhere, and you can find us and follow us. Check out our other shows. We do a couple of movie podcasts. Our TV show podcast, Across the Arrowverse, is about to come back because those shows are coming back on. And if you like what we do and want to help support us, go to patreon.com/eloquentgushing, where you can help support us developing this show and developing other shows in the future. Join us next week for more Worth the Calories.